This whole positivity thing of like that everyone is riding on right now, which I'm part of it. I'm part of like becoming spiritual and being positive and, being all about love and peace and all that and what's coming. I'm very into the astrological ages and, that we're in the age of Pisces and we're going into the age of Aquarius. But one thing I read some time ago, some years ago, was that the problem, so we're going to, collectively, there's going to be more humanitarianism and more unity, more whatever, more of what we need in the world today. And of course, the transition is going to be a long one. It's not overnight, it's happening very slowly. And I believe some people think we have about 50 to 100 years left. But the one thing that I read or came across a few years ago was that the negative side of that is going to be, because it sounds lovely, it sounds very positive, but the negative side of that will be that people will not think for themselves. Everything will be about the collective, what the collective thinks, what the collective feels. And so the problem is going to be that no one is going to be thinking individually. And it sounded to me like the way that it worded it, that basically if someone tries to think differently than others, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for that person. And I feel like I'm already seeing the effects of that, of what I read a few years ago. That stayed with me, and I thought, yeah, I can see how that could happen. I've done psychological tests and other things, other assessments that have told me I'm the type of person, my brain is the type of brain that, um, you like, I'll see everything might be like close to perfect, but I will find that one thing where there's a problem. I will find the fault, or I will find, um, the one thing that needs to be fixed. And, that comes from, I know where that comes from and why it's here. And it has its shadow side and it has the light side, and I accept it. It's part of who I am, and we have to accept our light and our shadow. But so I'm starting to see it now, because if you think differently, if you act differently, and if anything goes against that love, um, vibration, against, oh, you're not love, if you speak up, if you if you say what you need to say, if you're feeling a certain type of way or you're trying to express something, and it doesn't go with the rest of with the mainstream, which has always been an issue. That's why we had bullying and all that kind of stuff, for so long, because if you're different, they would target you. But this is about what my daughter taught me is called toxic positivity. And that's when you're just so positive. You try to be so positive, so happy, so loving, that, oh, nothing's wrong with the world. Oh, we can work it out. Oh, we can get this too shall pass. Now, I love that phrase. I've always said this too shall pass, but not in the let's tuck it away and hide it and not talk about it kind of way. It's always been in like, this too shall pass. Like, I'll get through it. Like, it's an obstacle. It's something that I can get through. So I'm just seeing that so much. And then, like, you speak up and you bring up something, and a lot of times people around you will not like it when you do that, because it disrupts their peace, their fakely created peace. It disrupts it. You can't tell them something like, if you notice something is off or something is wrong, or and I'm just seeing this come about, like, I can see this forming where eventually it's going to be like, oh, you don't, you're not being a loving person, you're not. No, in this case, when you're like this, when you're just too positive, too nice, which is actually, another thing that is being found out now, it's like that we're talking about more in social media and stuff, is, being too nice. It doesn't help to be too nice. People will take advantage of you. People will abuse your trust, will abuse your kindness. And so with this positivity thing, you end up being a punching bag, and you also attract really dark people that might not look very dark at first, or you might not think, oh, that they would never do that. That wouldn't, no, they're not like that, because they're your family members, because it's someone you love. So when we love people, a lot of things, you overlook a lot of things because you love that person. So you don't focus on the negative, you focus on the positive because you love them. But it doesn't matter who it is. If a person is dark or hasn't dealt with their shadow or hasn't dealt with their wounds, um, and you attracted that person, even if you don't see it right away, your things are going to start being uncovered because light attracts darkness. And you cannot be positive all the time and just be looking at things like, oh, it's okay, it's not that bad, or making excuses for people. I grew up watching this kind of behavior where a lot of toxicity and people just brushing it under the rug or not speaking up, especially, women in society are told, like, if we speak up, we are what is that word, chastised the most, in comparison with men. Men, it's normal for them to speak their minds and be aggressive and be tough and this kind of thing. I know things are slowly starting to change, but we have a lot of patterns to break. As in humanity, we have a lot of patterns and a lot of toxicity to get rid of. Patterns to break and a lot of toxicity to get rid of. And so I just wanted to say that there's so many things that I would like to talk about because I'm going to be 48 years old this year. So I have seen a lot. I have been around, and I'm not my age. In my mind, my mentality, the life that I've lived in my 48 years on earth, it's really more like people that are in their 70s haven't lived as much as I have. I've met people in their 50s, 60s that haven't lived as much as I have because I'm a curious person and I research a lot. I try things. I travel a lot now, and but I've always been a very curious person and just very observant of human nature and just what people do. And it's because of the family that I grew up in. There was a lot of toxicity, like a lot of other families. They're not bad people. It's just patterns that have been repeated generation after generation. And especially when you're people of color, oh my God, the trauma that you carry in your DNA and with your previous generations is crazy. It's crazy. I see it repeated every day still to this day in the new generations. And so it's a thing that you just spot these things that people just like to pretend don't exist. And it's so bizarre to me to act like something didn't happen, or like somebody didn't do something. Somebody behaved a certain way towards you and you just want to pretend it didn't happen. Why? Because you want that person to love you, or you don't want to cause any drama. I remember when that word came about. You don't want to cause drama. You don't want to raise hell. You don't want to make a scene. Oh, that's a big one in a lot of cultures. You don't want to make a scene. And so people don't put people on the spot and hold them accountable for things that they do, their behavior, things that they say. And I want women to think about that. Most especially if you're listening, you already should relate to this because we do that a lot. We make excuses for the men in our lives. We make excuses. We start with our fathers and our brothers and our uncles and our cousins, and then it moves on to our own husbands, and then it might even move on to our own children, to our own sons. We make excuses because we love them, because we don't want to think of anybody as a bad person. But we need to stop just sugarcoating people's nasty behavior, people's verbal abuse, people's toxicity. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how close they are to you, how much you love them. Love cannot hide someone's toxicity. Love cannot hide someone's verbal abuse just because you love them. Yeah, they say, oh, love conquers everything. Yes, it does. It can. But it has to be reciprocal. It can be one way. It doesn't conquer. It might conquer one way. Like, let's say you do that, you ignore, but then you keep your distance and you just keep loving that person. Eventually that person will come around and they'll realize that your love helped them, with whatever they had to go through. But a lot of the times it's much faster. I would say almost every time it's a lot faster if you maintain your distance, set your boundaries. That person, that's when they realize that your love helps them. When you set the boundaries, where they can't abuse you just because you love them, or they can't they can't dump their toxicity on you just because you love them. That's not okay. So I was eating cookies earlier. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that in this era that we're going into, it's, and all this love and we all love each other. Yeah, be careful, because a lot of times that love, it goes one way, but it's not being reciprocated. And you shouldn't stand there and take abuse or neglect, which is the other side of abuse. Neglect is abuse. It's just the other side of the coin of like verbal and physical abuse. It's still abuse. Somebody neglecting you and not validating your emotions, and not taking the time to listen to you and how you feel, and taking action for what they're lacking or what they're not doing that they should do to show you love. Love is very much about action. It's very much about presence. It's very much about spending time, being there, like being physically there for your loved ones. And if you can't be, you're at least always in communication. But showing that you understand, that you're listening to what they're saying. And like, but if somebody just neglects the relationship with you, abandons the relationship with you, or doesn't show they care, like they don't reciprocate your love, your attention, like, what is the point? What is the point? Like, you can only give so much. And this I agree with my daughter when she says there's so much toxic positivity now because of the whole spiritual movement and becoming awake and spiritually aware and connecting to the divine and everything. But that doesn't mean take abuse. That doesn't mean become a doormat. Being a positive person, being a spiritual person doesn't mean you take shit from people. You don't have to take shit from people, because people can be fucking nasty and gotta curse. But I'm a person that curses when I need to. So whoever doesn't like it, too bad, so sad. But it delivers the point of like, some people are just nasty. Some people just don't deserve your attention or your love. And if you're a person that gives a lot, you will attract people that want to just take, and they don't give back. So this toxic positivity is very real. I'm seeing it all over, and I don't think so. Being spiritually sound means also holding people accountable for their behavior, for their actions. And that is when you do them the biggest favors, is when you hold them accountable. And withdraw your energy if they're not somebody who appreciates it. Withdraw your energy. You don't need to be wasting your energy on people who don't appreciate it, who don't reciprocate, like I said. So I just wanted to touch on that. And maybe I'll be making more videos like this, because there's just a lot that is wrong with this society. There's a lot of good in the world, yes. I look at the good in the world, and I'm a person that loves life. See, like, someone might come across and maybe hear my thoughts, maybe not just from this video, but like, and they think I'm a pessimist. But I'm not a pessimist. Optimists are actually the ones that see what the world could be, and they see the gap between where we are and where we should be, because we see the world we see the good, we see the possibilities that are there, that exist to be better. Like, humans can be so much better than we are. Let's start looking just at the animals around us. Like, they're so much better than we are. So yeah, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. I don't cover the finger with one sun and pretend that people are not doing shitty things or behaving, shitty towards others. And, especially women, God forbid, we use the wonderful brain we were given, that it's so advanced and so much more powerful than we think it is. And so advanced for this freaking, even the times we're in right now. Like, just go look at and study neuroscience, which I do, and you'll learn how powerful women's brains are. So God forbid we express ourselves or say what we feel, or put boundaries and tell somebody, hey, you don't like the way you talk to me, I didn't like it, like, that was pretty shitty. And then the person, freaking a toxic person, will just reciprocate with more toxicity. Like, I'm talking about like putting people on the spot, letting them know, like, hey, that was not the time or the place to address that. There's time and a place, there's privacy where you can address things and do it in a cordial, um, polite manner. But when people are abusive, and they just blurt out things and they just say things, in front of everybody, it's like, you don't need to put up with that. No one should put up with that. And especially to mothers, speaking to mothers with their children, even with your children, don't allow that. Like, whenever you enable your children to continue a certain behavior, it's going to be very hard for them to change it. You have to hold everyone around you accountable for what they say, and when they hurt you, and when they are, behaving in a way that is not okay to you, that it's offensive and insulting, or when you notice that they're trying to get a reaction out of you, or that kind of thing. But that's what I wanted to address, is toxic positivity, because I would be someone that they would label as like, oh, you're not love, you're not loving, you're focusing on negative things. No, we cannot hide things that have happened. This is why I love history, which I always split into his story. But this is why I love knowing history and what has happened and how we came to be. Why are we here? Why do we think this way? Why does our society behave this way? Why do we allow this? Why do we have these laws? I like to know that, because it tells you a lot about the injustices, and like why things are the way they are, and why is it better for some people and worse for others. And we shouldn't sugarcoat that. We shouldn't hide that. Yeah, it sounds lovely for everyone to get along and all the races to, unite. And yeah, that is what we all want. We all want that. But we cannot deny when one race, one ethnicity is being treated less than another. Or we cannot deny the things that have been done to certain groups of people, certain ethnicities, certain classes. We cannot deny that. We need to talk about that, because if you don't talk about things, you don't heal. You can't pretend these things didn't happen. You can't just say, oh, let's just move on. Yeah, who's saying that? Who's saying let's just move on? The perpetrator. The perpetrator will be the first to say, oh, let's just move on. No, it's not like that. Things need to be talked about. Things need to be resolved and healed, so that they don't keep surfacing, and so that you don't pass it on to the future generations. That's how that's going to stop. So I just wanted to say that. And I might be making more videos like this, although I like making my, AI videos that I'm making that have a lot of lessons in them and a lot of very important information. But anyway, just wanted to share, whoever needed to hear this. Take care.